Hello, dear Army and Jikookers. Welcome back to Jikook Diaries, a space we created together not just to discuss facts, but to celebrate a bond that cannot be explained with ordinary words. This is where we store the laughter, tears, and silence between two figures who have shaken the world with their talents, and shaken our hearts with a relationship that is more than just friendship. Park Jimin and Jeon Jungkook. Today we dive into a new chapter, a different chapter. This time without stage lights, without cameras rolling, without the media spotlight, just them, in a quiet and closed world called military service. But it is there, in a place far from the crowd, that we find proof that their relationship has never wavered. That even the military world, with all its discipline, cannot separate two hearts that have long been tied together. When the news of BTS members entering the military began to roll, we all knew the time would come. But when it came to Jimin and Jungkook, it felt like the world became colder. We wondered, would they still be close? Would they be able to meet, considering that they both entered on different schedules? But Jikook was always different. They never played with exhibitions. They didn't need the media to show that they cared for each other. And when they finally entered the military, albeit in different units, slowly but surely we began to pick up on the subtle signs. As if they wanted to whisper to us, "Don't worry, we're still together." We started to see it from the little things. A fan site mentioned that in a joint training, two figures that looked very similar to Jimin and Jungkook were seen standing not far from each other. Of course, there were no photos. There was no visual evidence. But Army knows, our hearts know that sometimes feelings can't be lied to. Then, there was also news that their leave time overlapped. It's unlikely that it happened without communication. Does that mean they planned to be able to meet each other in between short periods of time? Or maybe they just wanted to make sure that on difficult days, there was someone who understood without having to say much. Not only that, in a short letter that Jungkook sent to fans, he said that he was fine, and that "my heart is at ease because there are people I trust." That sentence sounds ordinary, but if you remember how Jungkook always feels comfortable with Jimin, you know who he means. One of the things that touched fans the most was when Jimin postponed his military service. Many assumed it was because of work schedules, album promotions, or other administrative reasons. But for Jikookers, it wasn't just a postponement. It was a moment of reflection. Jimin has always been someone who thinks of others first. And if he could extend his time with Jungkook, or even just adjust the time so that the two of them could go through military service more in sync, then that would be the most Jimin thing ever. He didn't say it outright, but we knew it. We always knew it. Jungkook isn't someone who opens up easily. He's introverted, private, and very selective about who gets into his personal space. But one thing has always been clear. From the start, Jimin has been Jungkook's place to return to. In every interview, when asked about who is the most caring, who makes him feel at ease, who is the one who is with him the most during difficult times, Jimin's name always comes up. Even on Bon Voyage and In the Soup, we can see how comfortable Jungkook feels just with Jimin around him. Now, when their world is no longer decorated with stages and cheers, the relationship is even clearer. Jungkook doesn't need a camera to show affection. He just needs Jimin by his side, in any form. We can't see them now, can't hear them flirting in front of the camera. But for those who believe, that presence can still be felt. Even from the way Jimin posts photos full of serenity, or Jungkook who seems more at peace despite being in the midst of a harsh military life. We see it from the way the world continues to vibrate even though they are silent. We feel it from the whispers of the universe that continue to keep them close, even though they are far apart. Because a true connection doesn't need physical evidence. A true connection only needs a heart that remains faithful to feel. Jikook isn't just about viral moments or cute interactions. Jikook is the story of two human beings who grow together through all the pressures of fame, personal sacrifices, and now even the challenges of the military. But even in the midst of all that, they choose to still finding each other. Love is not about having or showing. Love is choosing to be there even in silence. And that's what Jimin and Jungkook did. They were there for each other, even though we didn't see them. They chose to keep strengthening each other, even in silence. For those of you who are still waiting, for those of you who had doubts, Today, allow your heart to believe again, because this is the most beautiful confirmation. Jimin and Jungkook cannot be separated. Not by time, not by distance, not even by the harsh military. And sometimes, love doesn't need to be announced with shouts. Sometimes, the deepest love is present in silence. Like Jimin and Jungkook, who now live in the military world. A harsh world, a world far from glamorous, but a world where their love still finds a way to shine. They no longer need to prove anything to anyone, because they know, and we know their hearts still beat in the same rhythm. Some very perceptive fans even noticed small patterns that showed that the two might still be directly connected. From the choice of rest time to the small items they wear that seem similar. There was a time when Jimin was seen wearing a bracelet that had been seen on Jungkook's hand. It's not a big deal, but for those of us who pay attention, it's the most honest form of love. No claims, no drama, just remembering each other in silence. And when one of the military staff members accidentally mentioned that there are two idols who look very close and support each other like brothers, fans immediately knew it had to be them. Because who else has been known for such a close relationship? Who else has always looked after each other, from the beginning of their career until now, in a place where all masks must be removed? What happens behind the fences of the barracks and the walls of the base is not something we can see every day. But precisely because of that, every little gesture becomes very meaningful. Every sentence written in a letter, every expression in the tone of voice, is proof that even though they are not on stage, they are still playing their own symphony. A symphony of love, friendship, and loyalty. There was news from a fan who worked at a military post who said that Jungkook was once seen sitting under a tree, writing something quietly. When asked by his colleague, he simply replied, "Writing for someone who makes everything feel lighter." The sentence was simple, but as usual, his heart always went to one place: Jimin. So is Jimin. Some time ago, he had given a small surprise to some of his military colleagues by distributing candy and notes of encouragement. But one of the notes was found with the small initials, JK, a detail that ordinary people might have overlooked. But not for us. We know it is a form of attention that can only be given by someone who loves in comfort. All of this is not just a fan theory. These are little pieces of love that have grown over the years, that have now found a new way to survive. A love that never asks for recognition, never forces itself to be understood. A love that chooses to grow in the quietest, yet purest place. If there is one thing we can learn from Jikook's relationship, it is that a true connection can never be destroyed by distance, time, or circumstances. Because when two souls choose each other, they will always find a way. Even when everything seems apart, even when we no longer see them standing side by side, their hearts still walk hand in hand. And inside us, Army and Jikookers are witnesses to an unusual love story. A love story that endures not because of the spotlight, but because of the strength of the heart. We believe not just because we want to believe, but because they have shown us that when love is genuine, not even the military can separate them. They may not be standing on the same stage, but they are still under the same sky, looking after each other in ways that only they know. And as long as their hearts are connected, Jikook will live on. In memories, in hopes, and in a love that will never die. Thank you for being with us on Jikook Diaries today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you believe that true love always finds its way. See you in the next video, where we will continue to keep their story alive.